In episodes 1 through 7, we learn that a woman named Brynhild Storseth came to Chicago from Norway in 1881 at the age of 22. She changed her name to Bella Peterson and married a man named Mads Sorensen in 1884. Belle and Mads never had any children together but became foster parents to many children, 2 of whom died in Belle's care. They also took in a foster daughter, Jenny Olsen, who Belle wanted to care for after Jenny's mother died when Jenny was just 8 months old. Belle and Mads opened an unsuccessful candy store, and it mysteriously burnt down. Belle and Mads received a nice insurance payment for it. In 1900, Mads suddenly died, and Belle received life insurance on 2 policies that overlapped on the same day that Mads died. She received somewhere between $5,000 and $8,500. We know now that she killed Mads for the money. Shortly after Mads' death, she bought a farm in LaPorte, Indiana on McClung Road with 48 acres of land. This was in 1901. She decided to go to Minnesota on a trip to see a supposed cousin and conveniently met up with Peter Gunness, an old acquaintance who once was a boarder in Belle and Mads' home in Chicago. She somehow convinced the new widower with a 5-year-old daughter and an infant daughter to marry her and move to the farm. They married on April 1st, 1902. 5 short days later, Peter's 7-month-old daughter Lydia died while in Belle's care. Her death was ruled edema of the lungs, which could be caused by strychnine poisoning. And just 8 months later, Peter Gunness was dead too. A meat grinder fell off a shelf and smashed his skull. We know now that Belle was responsible for these deaths. After Peter was buried, a short time later, Belle said she had given birth to Peter's son, Philip. According to Belle's sister, Nellie Larson, Belle could not have her own children. It was determined that Belle possibly got Philip in Chicago because of the baby farming going on there. In episode 1, we started out talking about the fire and how bodies had been discovered, not only of Belle's children and a headless woman's body thought to be Belle, but of Jenny Olsen, who Belle said went to finishing school in California 2 years earlier, but also of several men who had gone missing. They were all buried in the ground around the Gunness farm. Welcome to episode 8. Was Belle Gunness the first Craigslist killer? By the winter of 1904, Belle was in need of a man. 1, to help with the labor's chores of the farm, and 2, for other reasons to fulfill her greedy needs. In February of that year, Olaf Lindboe, a Norwegian immigrant, had arrived in Chicago 3 years earlier. He came upon an ad at the Scandinavian, a Norwegian language newspaper. The ad was for help wanted on a farm in LaPorte, Indiana. He packed all his belongings and all his life savings, which was $600, and headed to LaPorte, where he was hired by Belle. Neighbors had noticed Olaf and Belle becoming quite close. 2 months later, he wrote to his father back in Norway, telling him how he was happy and he was going to be married. Belle's closest neighbor, Swan Nicholson, later testified that Belle had been very kind to Olaf. So kind that Olaf began to look upon himself as master of the farm. Not long after Olaf's father received his letter, one of Belle's neighbors, Chris Christofferson, received word from Belle that she needed help because her hired hand, Olaf, had left in the middle of a major job. When Christofferson asked about Olaf's disappearance, she said that he had gone to St. Louis to the World's Fair and he wanted to buy land there. However, Swan Nicholson had a different story, that his friend Olaf had gone home to see the new king of Norway crowned. And when Olaf's father wrote Belle to ask about his whereabouts, Belle sent a letter and said, from her understanding, he went west and took up a homestead someplace. The truth was, however, that he was still on the farm. 4 years would pass before his remains were found. This was just the beginning of Belle and her Lonely Hearts ads and Help Wanted ads. Soon papers would be riddled with her pleas. They started out like this: Help Wanted. A woman who owns a beautifully located and valuable farm in first-class condition wants a good, reliable man as a partner in same. Some little cash is required and will be furnished first-class security. Interested parties were invited to write to B.G., care of the newspaper. It is not known how many replies this ad received, but D.J. Hunter, Belle's mailman, later reported that she typically received 1 to 4 letters every day, and sometimes as many as 8 to 10 in a day. How many men came to McClung Road looking for a future there? Find out more in episode 9. Thank you. Like and subscribe for more.